When Arizona's wealthiest copper mine owner desperately needs a wife to maintain his respectable image, while under federal investigation for tax fraud, he receives a stunning beauty who seems perfect for the role. But she's actually an undercover FBI agent sent to gather evidence of his corruption from inside his own home. As she digs deeper into his empire, she discovers the real criminals are his trusted brother and chief accountant, who've been embezzling millions while framing him. Now she must choose between completing her mission to destroy an innocent man or blowing her cover to save him from the very people he trusts most. Hit that like button and subscribe to witness whether love can survive when built on badges and lies. Billionaire rancher's perfect bride is undercover federal agent, but he's being framed. Vincent Morales stood at the edge of the Sangre de Cristo mine watching the sunset turn the copper-rich mountains the color of old blood. At 41, he controlled 60% of America's copper production-owned ranches spanning 3 states and had enough wealth to influence elections. But the federal investigation hanging over his head threatened to destroy everything his family had built over 3 generations. The marriage was his lawyer's idea. A stable family man looked less likely to be embezzling millions. The advertisement had been carefully worded to attract someone sophisticated enough to handle the scrutiny, but desperate enough not to ask questions. Isabella Cruz's response had been perfect. I am a financial consultant seeking a fresh start after a difficult divorce. I understand the importance of discretion and the value of presenting a united front against adversity. Your situation requires someone who can navigate complex social and legal waters. I believe I can be that partner. The photograph showed a stunning woman with raven hair, amber eyes, and the kind of refined beauty that suggested expensive education. She looked like someone who understood power and its price. What Vincent didn't know was that Isabella Cruz was actually Special Agent Isabella Reyes, FBI, specializing in financial crimes. She'd been undercover for 6 months, establishing her legend, waiting for the perfect opportunity to infiltrate Vincent's operation. The marriage advertisement had been a gift from heaven, or headquarters. Now she was arriving at Phoenix Sky Harbor, and Vincent waited with an anxiety that had nothing to do with the investigation and everything to do with the inexplicable pull he'd felt since seeing her photograph. Isabella stepped off the plane with the confidence of someone who belonged everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. She wore a simple sundress that probably cost more than most people's rent and sunglasses that hid eyes trained to see guilt in gestures. Mr. Morales. Her voice was smoky honey with a hint of accent she'd carefully cultivated. Vincent, please. We're about to be married after all. Vincent. She tasted the name like expensive wine. You look tired. The investigation. He was surprised by her directness. Among other things, you know about that? I researched my investments thoroughly. You're being investigated for tax evasion, but the evidence seems circumstantial. You don't think I'm guilty? Isabella studied him over her sunglasses, her trained eye reading his body language. The surprise was genuine, the weariness real. Either he was an exceptional actor or he truly didn't know about the millions being siphoned from his company. I think powerful men make powerful enemies. Whether you're guilty remains to be seen. And you're willing to marry me without knowing? I'm willing to marry you to find out. There's a difference. The drive to his estate took 2 hours through desert that shifted from suburban sprawl to raw wilderness. The Morales compound sat on 8,000 acres of high desert, the main house a stunning blend of Spanish, colonial, and modern architecture. It's beautiful, Isabella said, meaning it despite herself. My mother designed it. She said a house should look like it grew from the land, not imposed upon it. Wise woman. She was. She also said a man is only as good as the people he trusts. I'm beginning to think she was wrong about that. Isabella filed that away. Why, to tell you, this investigation, someone inside my organization has been feeding information to the FBI, selectively, making me look guilty of things I didn't even know were happening. You think you're being framed? I think I'm being betrayed. The question is by whom? They were greeted at the house by Vincent's younger brother Marcus, who handled the company's finances, and the chief accountant Robert Chen. Both men studied Isabella with barely concealed suspicion. The bride-to-be, Marcus said, his smile not reaching his eyes. Rather sudden, isn't it, Vincent? Desperate times, Vincent replied curtly. Indeed, Ms. Cruz, I hope you know what you're getting into. The FBI tends to investigate spouses as thoroughly as suspects. I have nothing to hide, Isabella lied smoothly. Robert Chen stepped forward, all false warmth. We've prepared a prenuptial agreement, standard protection for both parties. Isabella reviewed it with the eye of someone who'd studied financial crimes for a decade. Hidden in the legalese were provisions that would give Marcus control if Vincent was convicted. Interesting. I'll need my lawyer to review this, she said. Time is of the essence, Marcus pressed. The wedding is in 3 days. Then you should have sent this earlier, Vincent intervened. She's right. Isabella, take whatever time you need. Marcus, back off. The brothers locked eyes, and Isabella saw years of resentment simmering beneath Marcus's deference. That evening, Vincent gave her a tour of the estate, ending in his study, where walls of windows overlooked the desert. Can I be honest with you, he asked. I'd prefer it. I don't know why you answered my ad. You're beautiful, intelligent, clearly capable of taking care of yourself. Why tie yourself to a man under federal investigation? Isabella had prepared for this question. My ex-husband destroyed my reputation with lies. I understand what it's like to be accused of things you didn't do. Perhaps I see a kindred spirit. Or perhaps you see an opportunity. That too. I won't pretend there isn't mutual benefit here. You need credibility, I need security. But Vincent, she moved closer, close enough to deploy perfume and proximity. I also see a man who's being hunted for someone else's crimes. That intrigues me. You think I'm innocent. I think you're either innocent or the best actor I've ever met. And I've met some exceptional liars. In finance, in life. They were interrupted by Maria, Vincent's housekeeper of 20 years, a woman whose loyalty was absolute and whose instincts were sharp. Dinner is ready, and Mr. Vincent, your brother, is in your office, with Mr. Chen looking at files. Vincent's expression darkened. What files? The ones from the safe. They said you gave them the combination. I didn't. Isabella watched Vincent storm off, then turned to Maria. How long have they been stealing from him? Maria's eyes widened. You see it too. I see two men who want him destroyed. The question is why. Marcus has always resented being the younger brother. I think Robert just likes money more than loyalty. And Vincent doesn't see it? Vincent sees the good in people. It's his weakness. Isabella found Vincent in his office confronting Marcus and Robert. Papers were spread across the desk. Financial records that made Isabella's FBI training kick into overdrive. These are private documents, Vincent was saying. They're company documents, Marcus countered. And they show discrepancies. Millions in missing funds. Missing because you moved them, Vincent accused. Prove it. Isabella stepped forward, picking up one of the documents. Her trained eye caught what the others missed. Subtle alterations in the coding numbers that didn't quite align. These have been modified, she said quietly. Everyone turned to her. What? Marcus's voice was sharp. The account numbers. Someone's changed them. Recently. The ink is different ages. She pulled out her phone, activating a UV light app. See, the original numbers show under ultraviolet. It was a gamble. The app was FBI issue, but they wouldn't know that. Vincent looked at the revealed numbers. These are my personal accounts. Someone's been routing money through them to make it look like I'm embezzling. That's absurd, Robert said, but sweat beaded on his forehead. Is it? Isabella turned to him. You have access to all accounts. You prepare all documents. Who else could do this? Marcus has access too. The brothers faced each other, and Isabella saw the truth. They were working together. You're both doing it, she said. Marcus for revenge, Robert for greed, framing Vincent while enriching yourselves. You can't prove anything, Marcus said. Can't I? Isabella smiled dangerously. I'm a financial consultant. Remember, this is what I do. That night, Isabella contacted her handler through encrypted channels. The target may be innocent, she reported. Evidence suggests frame-up by brother and accountant. Irrelevant. Continue mission. Gather evidence on all parties. Sir, if Vincent Morales is innocent, then the investigation will reveal that. Your job is to gather evidence, not make judgments. Isabella ended the call frustrated. She'd been prepared to take down a corrupt billionaire, not protect an innocent man from his own family. She found Vincent on the terrace drinking whiskey and staring at the stars. Can't sleep, she asked, wondering how I could be so blind. Marcus is my brother. Robert's been with the company 15 years. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones who can hurt us most. Speaking from experience, my ex-husband was my business partner first. I trusted him with everything. He used that trust to destroy me. It was partly true. No, her cover story was based on a real case she'd worked. How did you recover? I learned to trust my instincts over my emotions. Right now, my instincts say you're in danger. From the FBI, from Marcus and Robert. They've been setting you up for years, Vincent. This investigation is just the culmination. Why now? Isabella considered how much to reveal. The Sunset Canyon project, it's worth $2 billion. If you're convicted, who gets control? Marcus as VP. There's your answer. Vincent turned to study her. You figured this out in one day. I told you I'm good at reading situations. You're more than that. He paused, struggling for words. You're unexpected, Isabella. Is that good or bad? I don't know yet. He kissed her, then suddenly, desperately, like a drowning man seeking air. Isabella had been kissed during undercover work before, but this was different. This was real in a way that terrified her. When they parted, Vincent looked as shaken as she felt. I'm sorry, that was inappropriate. We're getting married in 2 days. I'd say it's somewhat appropriate. A fake marriage. Is it? They stood facing each other, two people caught between truth and deception. Isabella, who are you really? For a moment, she almost told him. Almost blew her cover, her career, everything. But training held. I'm someone who recognizes innocence when I see it, and someone who hates seeing good people destroyed. And what are you going to do about it? Help you fight back. The next 2 days were a whirlwind of preparation, both for the wedding and for war. Isabella used her FBI resources covertly to trace financial records, building a case that would save Vincent while taking down Marcus and Robert. The wedding was small but elegant, held in the estate's garden with only essential witnesses. Marcus stood as best man, his smile sharp as a blade. Robert handled the paperwork, his hands steady despite his guilt. Do you take this woman knowing there are secrets between you? The judge asked, departing from traditional vows at Vincent's request. I do. Do you take this man knowing a trust must be earned? Isabella looked at Vincent, this good man being betrayed by everyone except the federal agent sent to destroy him. I do. They kissed, and Isabella tasted truth and lies in equal measure. That night, their wedding night, they sat in Vincent's study, going through evidence instead of consummating their union. Here, Isabella pointed to a transaction. $3 million moved from the Copper Futures account to a shell company in the Caymans. Robert's signature, but backdated to when you were in the hospital last year. After the accident at the mine, I was unconscious for 3 days. Convenient timing, and here Marcus approved the transfer while acting as temporary CEO. They planned this together. For years, probably. The question is, how do we prove it to the FBI? Isabella felt the irony like a knife. She was the FBI, and she was helping him evade her own investigation. We need the original documents, she said, before they were altered. Robert would have destroyed them. Not if he's smart. He'd keep them as insurance against Marcus. You think they'll turn on each other? Criminals always do eventually. Vincent looked at her with those dark eyes that saw too much. You sound like you have experience with criminals. I told you I'm a financial consultant. I see the aftermath of white-collar crime daily. Is that all you are? What else would I be? Someone sent to help me, or someone sent to destroy me. I'm not sure which anymore. Before Isabella could respond, alarms began blaring. The security system showed multiple breaches. Federal agents, Vincent said, watching the monitors. They're raiding the estate. Isabella's handler hadn't warned her. This wasn't part of the plan. FBI agents swarmed the property led by Special Agent Director Phillips, Isabella's actual boss, though he showed no recognition when he saw her. Vincent Morales, we have a warrant to search these premises and arrest you for tax evasion, money laundering, and fraud. He's innocent, Isabella said, stepping forward. Ma'am, please step aside. I'm his wife, and I have proof that he's being framed. Phillips looked at her with eyes that promised consequences. That's for the courts to decide. As they cuffed Vincent, he looked at Isabella with a mixture of betrayal and hope. Whatever you really are, he whispered, help me. Isabella stood in the ransacked study watching agents she'd trained with tear apart Vincent's life. Phillips approached when the others were occupied. Agent Reyes, what the hell are you doing? My job, investigating, and sir, he's innocent. That's not your call. The evidence is clear. Marcus Morales and Robert Chen have been embezzling and framing Vincent. Then let the legal system sort it out. You know what happens to innocent men in federal custody when someone wants them dead. Phillips studied her. You've gone native agent. You're compromised. I'm seeing clearly for the first time, Vincent Morales is a good man being destroyed by the people he trusts. Isn't it our job to protect the innocent? Our job is to enforce the law. Then let me finish my investigation. Give me 48 hours. You have 24. Then you're pulling out cover, intact or blown, I don't care. After Phillips left, Isabella worked frantically. She accessed Robert's personal computer, finding the insurance files she'd predicted. Original documents showing Marcus authorizing transfers, Robert executing them, Vincent's signatures forged. But she needed more. She needed them to confess. She found Marcus in Vincent's office, already acting like he owned everything. Enjoying your new empire, she asked. It was always meant to be mine. Vincent just delayed the inevitable. Because he was older. Because our father was traditional. First son gets everything. Never mind that I was smarter, more ambitious. Smart enough to frame him for your crimes? Marcus laughed. Prove it. Isabella pulled out her phone showing him the documents she'd found. Robert kept records, insurance against you. Marcus's face went pale, then red with rage. That bastard. He's already talking to the FBI, Isabella lied. Cutting a deal, putting everything on you. He can't, it was his idea. The embezzlement, the tax evasion, all of it. I just wanted Vincent discredited, not imprisoned. Tell that to the FBI. I will. I'll tell them everything. Including how you've been stealing for 5 years. Including how Robert came to me with a plan to destroy Vincent and split the company between us. How he altered documents, created false trails, moved money through Vincent's accounts while he was unconscious or traveling. Isabella was recording everything, her FBI app capturing each word. Why, she asked, why destroy your own brother? Because he had everything the company fathers respect, mothers love. Even after they died, their ghosts loved him more. I was always the spare, never the heir. So you decided to take what wasn't yours. I decided to take what should have been mine. Robert burst in, then panicked. The FBI took everything. My computers, my files. He saw Isabella's phone, saw Marcus's guilty expression. You told her. You betrayed me first, Marcus snarled. Keeping those documents? Insurance because I knew you'd throw me under the bus. Like you're throwing me now. They turned on each other, accusations, flying confessions, spilling. Isabella recorded it all. Finally, she'd heard enough. She pulled out her FBI badge. Special Agent Isabella Reyes, FBI. You're both under arrest. The brothers stared in shock. You're a Fed, Marcus gasped. Vincent's wife is FBI. Robert looked like he might faint. I'm both, and you're both going to prison. She called for backup, had them arrested, then drove to the federal detention center where Vincent was being held. Phillips met her at the entrance. You blew your cover. I got confessions from both conspirators. Vincent Morales is innocent and compromised. You married him. Undercover, part of the operation. A part you took too seriously. Isabella handed over the recordings. Listen to these. Then tell me I didn't do the right thing. Phillips reviewed the evidence, his expression gradually shifting from anger to resignation. This is solid. We'll release Morales and charge the other two. I need to see him. Reyes, I need to explain. Vincent was in an interrogation room, still in his wedding suit from the night before. He looked up when Isabella entered, his expression unreadable. Agent Reyes, he said flatly. They told me. Vincent, everything was a lie. You're FBI. You came to investigate me. I came to investigate a criminal. I found an innocent man being framed. So you married me. I married you to get closer to the truth. But Vincent, she sat across from him, badge and gun on the table between them. I fell in love with you despite every rule, every protocol, every bit of training that said not to. How can I believe anything you say? Because I just destroyed my career to save you. Because I chose you over the FBI. Because she pulled off her wedding ring, set it on the table. Because this was supposed to be fake, but it became the most real thing in my life. Vincent was quiet for a long moment. You're really FBI? For 10 more minutes, then I'm probably fired. Wife team, because I can't be an agent and your wife, and given the choice I choose you. You don't even know me. I know you visit your parents' graves every Sunday. I know you anonymously pay for your workers' kids' college. I know you kept your father's old pickup truck because it reminds you where you came from. I know you're kind to people who can't do anything for you, and that's the true measure of character. You investigated me. I fell in love with you. There's a difference, Horaz. Vincent picked up the wedding ring, examining it. This is insane. Yes. You lied to me. Yes. You're probably going to lose your job. Definitely. And you're choosing me anyway. Yes. Vincent stood, walked around the table, and knelt beside her chair. Isabella Reyes, FBI agent, professional liar, and somehow the most honest person I have ever met. Will you marry me again? For real this time, Isabella laughed through tears. That's your response? I deceive you, investigate, you almost destroy you, and you propose? You saved me. From my brother from prison, from a life of never trusting anyone. You showed me that sometimes deception can lead to truth. And sometimes love comes from the strangest places. So will you marry me? I already did. That doesn't count. I want to marry Isabella Reyes, not Isabella Cruz. Then yes, I'll marry you. They kissed in the federal interrogation room, an FBI agent and her target, proving that sometimes the best investigations lead to the heart. 6 months later, they remarried in the estate garden, the same place where their fake marriage had taken place. Marcus was serving 15 years for embezzlement and conspiracy. Robert had taken a plea deal for 10 years. Vincent's company had recovered, his reputation restored. Isabella had indeed been fired from the FBI, but she'd started her own financial investigation firm, specializing in helping people who were being framed or falsely accused. Her first client had been her husband, pro bono. Any regrets? Vincent asked on their real wedding night. How can I regret the path that brought me to you? I came to catch a criminal and caught feelings instead. You caught the real criminals and lost my career and gained a life, a real life, not an undercover one. They stood on the terrace where they'd first kissed, looking out over the desert. You know what's funny? Isabella said. My handler sent me here because I was the best at deception, but you saw through me from the beginning. I saw someone worth trusting. Even when you were lying, you were trying to find the truth. And you trusted me even when you shouldn't have. Best mistake I ever made. Marrying a federal agent investigating you is a mistake. No, falling in love with her is the mistake. A beautiful, dangerous, perfect mistake. They had 2 children in the following years. Twins they named Justice and Truth because, as Isabella said, sometimes those 2 things look identical but aren't quite the same. When the children were old enough to understand, they would tell them the story, how mommy was sent to arrest daddy, but he arrested his heart instead. How sometimes the best marriages begin with handcuffs and Miranda rights. How love can bloom even in interrogation rooms in federal investigations. Your mother saved me, Vincent would say. Your father gave me something worth saving, Isabella would add. And in the garden where they'd married twice, once in deception, once in truth, roses grew that Isabella had planted varieties she'd named beautiful lies and dangerous truths, twining together so closely you couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. The FBI occasionally contacted Isabella for consulting work, especially on cases where someone might be innocent. She always took them with Vincent's support. You're still an agent at heart, he'd say. No, she'd correct. I'm an agent of justice. There's a difference. The Copper Crown and his federal agent who'd proved that sometimes the best investigations are the ones that investigate the heart, that the most dangerous undercover work is falling in love with your target, and that the truth, however it's discovered, is always worth the price of admission. Even if that admission includes a badge, a gun, and a career built on deception transformed into a life built on trust.